Good evening, everybody. It's that Tuesday evening. It's at 7 o'clock, bang on time as always, Jenny. Welcome, everybody, to the Lincoln Property and Mortgage Show with myself, Michael Hollenby, and as always, joined by Jenny Holt from the Mortgage Hub, your Mortgage Hub. So we've got a great show this evening, really topical, something that's being talked about a lot at the moment and probably has been since the beginning of the year. So both of our heads sort of came together on this and thought this should be a really good topic to discuss tonight, which is going to be how to present your home ready for listing, and more importantly, when you're doing your viewings, and how you can assist your agent and yourself getting your property sold. So let's roll those titles and we'll get stuck straight in this week. Look at that, Jenny. We've got likes and shares already. We've been going, 2 minutes, which is great. So let's have a shout out. Helen Louise Harper, thank you straight away for liking the show this week. Very kind. Thank you for joining us this evening. So as we always say, if you are enjoying the show, please just head over to the like button and hit that for us. And also, if you've got any questions, then again, please feel free to comment throughout the show, bottom right-hand corner of your page there, or in your social media feed. You can always send us a question, any feedback. It's always great to get involved with us as well. And again, if you're watching this back on any of the social media platforms, after tonight's live show, again, please make sure that you like the post, comment on it, share it, tag it to somebody you think might also benefit by watching tonight's show. So, Jenny, you sent over the heading this morning, but again, very, very topical because it's something that I've been asked a lot about. So that the sort of subject tonight, then what sort of brought that to your mind for this week?
Yeah, I think it's that time of year, isn't it, where people are starting to spring clean. They're thinking about moving. I have lots and lots of questions about should I move now or should I move later? And half of the things is, well, I might move this time because I need to do X, Y, and Z to the home first of all. And I think it's just really topical. We're at in March, people are spring cleaning, like I say, people are considering moving, and it's how do we get the best out of your home, making it presentable to the masses, if you like, because your home is your home, so it's very individual to you. So it's how can we make the most to get that out to the audience and get the viewings and then get the offer on it as well, and get the most we can for it, which is the important thing.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because this almost splits into 3 sections in my experience. And then I'm going to we'll wrap up with 5 key points, which I think if you keep these 5 key things in your thought process throughout the entire stage of that process, it will definitely help. Those 3 stages really are is when you have agents come around to value the property, naturally you run around everywhere, decluttering, making everywhere nice and tidy because, it's showtime. Your home, it's a big thing for a stranger, an agent, somebody who may not have had around your property or had experience of either ever before or for the first time in many years coming into your home. It's a big thing. So you want to show it off to the best light you possibly can. So that's the first time that you would probably have gone around and got your home prepared. The second time is then when you come to get your photography and, your videography and your agent's details, or the energy assessor come rounds to your home. To get all the details ready. A lot of people find that quite a difficult stage as well because they're not always sure how to present the home or how to stage the home and what extremes to go to. And then the third, and probably like you said there, is the most important stage is when you're actually undertaking the viewings. So we're going to concentrate probably on that latter stage really, so we can help you get moved. But we are going to cover some of those topics, as I say, because those 5 key things will be relevant all the way through. We've just had a comment that's just come up as well. I made our estate agents come back to take my pictures. I'm terrible. Right, that's interesting. I made our estate agents come back to take my pictures. So we'll cover that actually, because there's a good point there about who takes the photos, what do you pay for with your photos, and your marketing. So great question. Let's make sure that I don't forget that when we come back. So very quickly, if you don't mind, Jen, I'm going to talk about that first stage of just when you get your home ready for valuations. Now, the key thing here is, look, it's your home. you have to have it so that you feel comfortable coming round. Okay, so you don't need to give it the full works of, you know, decluttering and tidying and, you know, cleaning top to bottom and emptying the loft out and all those sorts of things. You need it to obviously be shown in its best light, and the agent will take into account its presentation and styling. But ultimately, on the initial valuation, the agent will be looking at comparable evidence and will be looking at their database of registered buyers on what they're prepared to pay for a property like yours in today's marketplace. Now, don't get me wrong. If the kitchen needs a lot of work, or the bathroom, or the decor's not great, an agent will give you advice on that. Okay, so don't feel as if you've got to go around and get all of this work done and spend an absolute fortune in B&Q. You know, spend weekends getting it ready. Talk to your agent about some of the key things that might help your saleability and possibly your value. Okay. So that's the first thing that I'd say is it's your home. Have it so that you feel comfortable about them coming around the property. I'll be honest with you, it's not going to make a massive difference in regards to their valuation that they put on the property.
No.
Okay. So, quick question that's come in here from Helen as well. Having some valuations tomorrow, it's a minefield. Think because we sold a couple of years ago and it all fell through that it's just that shall do we and the expense when it falls through, but definitely want to find a forever home. Okay, so that's an interesting point again, that you're getting valuations already tomorrow. So I think that's the first thing, as I say, is interesting here as well, Helen, is that you've had a difficult experience previously, and that's going to trigger some emotions and some feelings about how it's going to work for you next time round. So I think it's really important, like we've spoken about in previous shows, is to get a broad range of agents out to have a look at the property. That's the first thing. Okay, talk to them about, look, had a scenario before, this happened. In that scenario, what would you do as an agent? Okay. And again, I know we've talked about this previously, but storytelling is one of the best ways that you can get across what you want and what you're looking for from an agent, and also ask them about their experience. Again, we've talked about who actually handles the sale, who negotiates the sale, who progresses the sale. So if you've not watched those shows already, go back, have a look through. There's some really helpful, points in there as well. So hopefully that answers that. But again, if there's anything outside of that, come back, let me know. If I remember as well, I'll drop me a telephone number at the end of this as well. So if there's any questions you want to come back to me directly, feel free to do so. Okay, so that's the first thing about staging the property ready for valuations. Jenny, anything that you want to add there?
No, I think you're spot on. The valuation when you're looking at the property, yes, obviously you want to show it, in the nicest possible way, but really the valuation is based on the bricks, the mortar, the interior. You cleaning your carpet or weeding the garden really isn't going to add that much value at this point. This is just what you could get for it based on its current condition. What we'd be looking for is the next stage. That's where we need to be doing all of that side of things. So yeah, I kind of agree with you there, Mike, 100%.
Spot on. Okay, so the next thing is the key 5 things that I've written blogs on, articles on, where I give advice to the clients I work with when we're about to come out, put the actual property on the market. And again, we'll put some comments in these after tonight's show, so you've got them back to refer back to. We'll go into them in a bit more detail. The first one is curb appeal, including gardens. The second one is what I call clear and clean. Then we've got pets and people. Then we've got sensory, so the feelings and the emotions that you can help create. And then we've also got a really important subject, agent versus homeowner. Okay, we'll delve into that bit. And I think, Jenny, you know where I'm going with this already.
100%.
So, curb appeal. Stand outside the front of your property and look at it from a buyer's point of view, not you as the home seller. Because I promise you, there are things that you've probably been putting off, thinking, oh, you'll get around to it one weekend, etc., etc. It's those little things that are important when you first start to even just get your photography done. Now, this time of year, daffodils in a tub by the front door, paint your front door up, make sure your letterbox is straight, make sure the numbers on your door are straight. Does your outside windows need cleaning? Have you got a gate? Is it falling over? Does your garden need weeding? Can you put a couple of sort of winter pansies in? Some colour. What you need to be looking at is, how can I best present my property so that when people are driving past, they're going to look at it and go, that looks inviting, and the photography from your lead photo is going to be the best it can be. This is also really important, and another one of my big bugbears is that agents will often take the front photo and leave it as the main lead photo every single day and week throughout the entirety of your marketing. Yeah. Another subject we talked about a lot in the past. So you've got one opportunity sometimes, unless the agent comes back. And again, there's comments back there about coming back to take pictures. It should be, we'll come back to this, it should be the agent taking the photographs, okay? Or a professional contractor, which an agent can provide for you. So that's the first thing. Curb appeal, get your gardens looking nice, not just the front, but around the back. Okay. So people will drive round to the back of the property to see where the parking is, what the arrangements are. You know, is there any shared access round at the back? Is it lit up? Those sorts of things. So just take a walk round all the outside of the property and get your curb appeal done. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to cover over the next 4 and then we'll dive into a little bit more about the actual viewing, Jenny, if that's okay with you. I'm mindful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here. So the next thing following on from that is clear and clean. Similar thing, walk through the front door, look round, what can you clear away, what needs cleaning. Sometimes that clean can be a lick of paint, okay? So if you've got dog scratches on the front door, back door, on a wall when you go in and, you know, the dog shakes off everywhere and it's up the wall, you don't tend to sort of notice it quite so much when you're in your property yourself because it's your home. But when you're marketing it, it's little things like that that will stand out from the very first impression when people come up to the property. Now, I call this the 10-second sell. So many properties that I've sold over the years have been from the very first few moments of them walking into the property, and they haven't even been into some of the reception rooms yet. Yep. Because they'll know what the property looks like from the photographs and the marketing, the videography before, and it's that emotional bit when they walk through. So we're going to talk about Senchi in a moment, but if you can present it in its best way possible when they walk through the front door, it's going to set the tone throughout the rest of the property. So clear and clean. Or your clutter. Now, what I mean by that is don't get rid of all of your personal items and photographs and, you know, memories and things. You're selling a home and people like to see it staged as a home. Okay. I did a viewing on a property recently and the family loved it because there was a unicorn toy in one of the kids' bedrooms. And it was a topic of conversation because the little girl picked out which bedroom she wants. That's an emotional connection with the property, okay? And it's coming from a young person because, again, it's a big change for them when they're moving as well. So I think all these little things are really, really important. But just look at it sensibly about how is best to present the property. Also remembering that the likelihood is once you're getting viewings on your own property, you're also going to be going out and viewing properties yourself. So imagine the critique you're going to be having and the conversations you'll be having on the driveway home is similar thing. They'll be doing the same thing about your property. So do it from a critical point of view that way. Okay. So that's clear and clean. Anything else you want to add on that one?
Just in regards to, like, I've obviously got 2 dogs and it is our walls in certain areas of our property, like you say, where they shake, is absolutely disgusting. And we don't notice it for months. And then suddenly we're like, that's really embarrassing. I need to sort that. And the other thing I would say is, I always tell my clients, especially if they've had a property that's maybe you can clearly see that property has been done up recently. Someone's gone in there. Maybe it's a developer. Maybe it's just a keen interior designer that's got it. And my keys, I always say, look in the corners. The corners are really where you're going to see if that's done to spec, because people will hide all sorts of things in the corner of the woodwork, in the corner of the paint, how the kitchen's been put together, and then you put it in the corner because naturally your eye does not go there. It goes to one level and it goes around. So I always say, look in the corners. So pay special attention to the corners of the rooms, because that will really show what standard the property is to, or at least I think it would.
I think those 2 points, the curb appeal, gardens, etc., and the clear and clean, are really important before you put the property on the market and when you come to get your photographs done. Okay. The next bits we're going to then move on to is more when you do your viewing. So I think if you get those things right, you know, your photography and your videography will show your property off the best it can. And again, Helen, you put a really nice comment on there. Fab advice. Glad it's going well so far for you. Excellent. Okay. The next things then I'm going to talk about follows on a little bit about what we just said about pets as well. This is pets and people. Right. Make the decision to get them out of the property. Okay. If you've got too many people in the property, you've got kids running around everywhere, or if you've got pets, don't forget, not everybody is a fan of dogs, or I'm allergic to cats. So it's things like that that you need to show off as a home, but at the same time, there can be odors and smells from pets being in the place. You need to neutralize those, open the windows up, get your Febreze round, etc., which we're going to talk about sensory in a moment. But again, take the dog for a walk, or get somebody to take the dog for a walk, or have it so that they're in the garden, then you swap round and the dog comes in and then they go out into the garden. It's just being practical and sensible to make your lives as easy as possible. And if you've only got one person maybe doing the viewing, that can also help as well, so that when you walk into the rooms don't feel overcrowded, etc. Okay. So just concentrate on who's the best person to do the viewing. And if you've got pets, how do you stage the property or do the viewing so that, it showcases it in its best way possible as well. Okay. Anything on that one, Jenny, with you?
No, I'm a big believer in making the pets disappear, unfortunately, on viewings. They are a great conversation starter for some. And they can really put others off. And actually what can happen is you spend more time stroking the dog than you do looking at the property, and you don't necessarily they don't get the response and the full picture of that home, because they remember the dog, but not what the kitchen looked like or where they could potentially put their furniture. So I am a bit, and even down to their bowls and their beds, get them out, put them in the car if you need to, the bowls and the beds, not the dogs, obviously, but, just get them out the way so that people can see that clear room as well.
So some more comments coming in here as well. So my mum, raving fan, watches the show every week. Not feeling very well either today, so thanks for joining, Mum. So my mum's put a point on there as well. Really helpful advice. No hanging towels. Now, the reason why she puts that on there again is, she'll be laughing at home now, is so her property's just gone on the market. And one of the key things when I was going around getting the photography done on that property is hanging towels and in bathrooms, and tea towels and towels in kitchens is a pet hate for me. And the reason for this is similar to what you said earlier, Jen, in regard to where your eye takes you. Okay. Mm-hmm. When you walk into a bathroom or into a kitchen, regardless how fantastic those aspects of those rooms are, if you've got hanging towels or you've got an oven glove or something on the oven, your eye is automatically drawn to that fixture of that room. It's normally in the middle of the room. It's just where naturally you will look, and you tend to forget everything that's all around it. So just a little tip, really, really simple. Get them out of view. Put them in a drawer somewhere, get them out of view. Just while we're talking about towels, another thing here as well is, if you have got towels, make sure that they're freshly washed and hung up properly and neat, because if you've got wet doggy towel hanging on a radiator or something, that is not a good impression either. So,
no.
There's things again that agents can help with in regard to what we call style and staging to make it look as best it possibly can, whilst keeping it a home. If you go to a new home sales office and have a look around some of those properties, they look beautiful. And again, they're very, very clever. They've got professionals in knowing exactly how to stage the property. And when you go around them, you can imagine yourselves living and enjoying that lifestyle. You want to create something similar, but don't get me wrong, you don't need to be putting a cushion on the sofa and doing the karate chop down the middle of it to, get it to fold properly, etc. But it's just being sensible when you're staging it out. I think that's the key thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Another couple of comments in there. Viewed a house recently, cat litter in most rooms, and I was disgusted. That's my point exactly. Yeah. There's nothing worse. I've done viewings where people have trodden in cat trays as well. Ooh. Guess which agent has to clear it all up before you finish on the viewing. Okay. And do you know what? That's another thing as well. Really, right. I love these conversations. This is why I love doing live shows, Jenny. Clear your garden of dog mess. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That is, when an agent's shown a property, or if you walk through and walk back into that, that is an uncomfortable situation to be in. So let's just help out by clearing the gardens as well. Okay, now I'm pleased you put that one on there. Thank you for that one. Right, so I'm going to move on from that then to sensory. I talked about that first 10 seconds of walking through a property, and it only takes a moment to put candles on, to use the air fresheners, etc. And I think that's really important, because there are some really nice neutral smelling sort of candles and plugins and all those sorts of things. Not everybody's a big fan of candles, and I get that, but there are ways that you can make your property smell nice and clean, particularly in bathrooms. There's nothing worse than walking into a bathroom. Make sure your toilet seats are down, that it all just looks and feels nice and clean and fresh, because they're going to walk out the property remembering those points as well. So sensory is really, really important. Even to things like when I do viewings, I'll put a soundtrack on my phone, on a speaker, so it creates a bit of an atmosphere and a little bit more of a tone when you're walking around the property. I don't know any other estate agent that does that. And I actually picked this up from one of my homeowners on Karen Way, because I used to go and do the viewings on that property, and they had an amazing soundtrack on in the background, just really nice chill out tunes, had a lovely vibe. So I then started doing that when I went out and did other viewings, and it was always commented on by people. The
That's
owners of
genius,
Western
Mike.
Avenue that I've recently sold as well.
Yeah. Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
Mark. I was
little
just saying
tip.
that is absolute genius. I've never heard of that, but that is genius, because it's that feeling, isn't it? It's like that calm, relaxed feeling that you're creating, which is what you want when you go into your home. It's your home is your sanctuary, isn't it? That is, I like that a lot.
There you go. That can be your top takeaway tip today.
I think it's going to
Just
be.
put some. It's a good one. You see, all this free advice we're giving away here. I was just going to say, Western Avenue was a really similar thing, and all the marketing. I always said, look, this is a home that you've got to walk inside to feel about being at home in this property. A photograph and a video ain't going to do it. You've got to come and view it. And again, the homeowners in that property, just a wonderful home. Love this home. But again, it just had really, really cool music on in the background, just a nice soundtrack. And again, don't get me wrong, you don't want some blasting R&B or heavy metal in the background, but just chill out tunes in the background that people can, when they walk in, they just feel at ease. So great little tip there for you as well. Okay.
I like that one.
So sensory is a big one. Even for how the property feels where they're walking. Is it warm? Okay, we've gone through the winter months, but is it warm? Is it inviting? Are they going to walk in and go, boy, that's freezing in, it's Baltic? Or, God, it's roasting in here. What is that covering up? Because that's what people will be asking. Just nice 16 to 18 degrees, somewhere in there. Open the windows half an hour before, get some fresh air, and then to say put the heating on if you need to. Okay, so it's just creating it as homely as you possibly can make it when obviously they come to view. Okay, then the last bit that I want to talk about is who does the viewing. This is a big thing for me, Jenny, and you were laughing when I said it at the beginning. You know my thoughts on agents are the salespeople. This is what you are paying the dollar for. Okay. Mm-hmm. In my view, it should be the agent that does the viewings for you. It's another thing you need to be asking. And Helen, when you mentioned earlier you've got agents out, please make sure you ask them who's going to do the viewings. How do you justify your fee? Are you just shoving it on Rightmove and sticking it on, the portals and on your website and sticking a board out the front? That just doesn't cut it anymore. Okay. Yeah. An agent, in my view, is the salesperson, should be experienced on how to undertake the viewing, giving advice on viewings. But also, it's really important, if we've just taken everything else into account, getting the feedback from the viewer through an agent, because they're going to be a lot more open and honest with an agent than they will be with you. That's why I think the agent should be coming out and doing the viewing. Now, what I mean by the agent is, I say this with respect, not employing an accompanied viewer on a weekend to come and do your viewing, who doesn't know you, doesn't know your story, doesn't know the reason why you're moving, doesn't know what you want to achieve from the sale, doesn't know how long you've been there, won't know any answers to questions that they're going to be asked. All they're doing is opening the door and closing the door behind them. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I think that bit is really important as well. If you are having to do the viewing, again, just ask for some advice from the agent on how to do it. Okay, because it's not a natural thing. What I would say in that situation is just tell them where the rooms are. Go into one of the main rooms where there's a bit of space. Tell them where everything is and just say, go and have a good wander around. And if you've got any questions, I'll then answer that at the end. Another little top tip here for you. Power of three. Okay, I was taught this very, very early on in a state agency. When I say early on, we're talking over 30 years ago. It was by the Halifax. Okay, and it was the power of three. Find out and establish which is the best room that family or that person viewing finds about the property. And you'll know it because they'll walk into a room, their eyes will light up, or the conversations will start coming out. It's usually a principal reception room or a bathroom or a garden, okay? Get them into that room or that space on 3 occasions. So first time they've gone round, walk into a kitchen. Oh, this is fantastic. Oh, can you see yourself sitting around here having, coffee on a Sunday morning, etc.? Can you imagine having the friends around and having a nice dinner party and glass of wine, etc.? That's the first time. Then they do the upstairs, getting back in that kitchen the second time, and then say, right, if you want to go and have a look around on the outside, and then come back and meet me back into this room once you've had a look around. Then they've been on the outside and they're back into that room before they leave the property. Okay. That's going to be the lasting impression that they're going to have when they leave the property. Because I'll tell you what normally happens. An agent will open the door, have a wander around. They'll follow them around and say, here's the kitchen, here's the lounge, here's the downstairs toilet, here's the conservatory, utility room, etc. They'll go upstairs, here's the main bedroom, here's bedroom 2, here's bedroom 3, here's bedroom 4, and here's the bathroom. Let's go outside, and then they go off, okay? The last rooms that they saw in the property, which is probably 10, 15 minutes ago now, is the smallest bedroom and the practical room of the bathroom.
Yeah.
You're not going to make your sole decision on buying a property on those 2 rooms. So it's knowing and understanding which is the rooms and the aspect of that property which is winning them over in regard to why they want to move and live in your home. Okay, so that's just another little tip there. So I'm very mindful here, Jenny. I've done a huge amount of talking today.
Okay, it's your area of expertise, so that's absolutely fine.
So any other questions that you've got in there, Jenny? Any comments that you've got or experience that you're sort of saying to people, or when you've looked at properties?
Yeah, I think, I'll be honest. So I bought my house the moment I walked through the door. I knew, I just had that gut. And I think when you are viewing houses, it's you go with your gut. So you need to present and, like you say, stage your home so that they have those feelings, that you're creating those feelings. I've offended quite a few people in the past, and I don't mean to offend them, when they've said, oh, my house isn't selling. Why do you think it is? And I'm like, well, have you thought about, like you say, decluttering? It's a very you home, which will always sell eventually. But if you're looking to go to the masses, you need to sometimes take a bit of your personality out of that in a very small way so that people can imagine themselves living there. If you've got plants everywhere in your house and someone who wants to view it doesn't like plants, they can't imagine themselves cooking in that kitchen or sitting in that living room. And this is what I feel when it comes to the viewings, you've got to almost stage it that other people could see themselves living there. So that to me is key, and it can be quite emotive because we're almost saying take your part of your personality out, take a part of you out of it. But that is in essence what I think you would need to do to get the quicker sale and get that higher price. We need to make it so people can see themselves living there.
It's very similar to selling your own car. Okay, if you're selling your car, what's the first thing you do? You go and get it professionally cleaned. Yeah, you don't do it yourself, do you? You go and get professional. You go down to one of these, drive-through car washing places. Then you're going to give it a hoover, and then you're going to get all the sticky kids' toys and sweets and all that sort of stuff out there. You're going to clear it out. You're going to wipe down all the dashboard. You're going to make it look nice. You might put a bit of polish on it. You might even polish your alloys and your wheels up. You're going to make it look nice, and you're going to clear your boot. It's the same thing with the biggest asset that you've got. Okay. Yeah. So you have got to make it look and stand out. The other thing that I'd always say is going back to if you're selling a property and you're buying on again, when you're looking on, I'll say Rightmove, on the property portals or the websites, but you're going to be on Rightmove, you'll know what you're looking for, and there will be properties that you've looked at and you will have dismissed because you'll have looked at photographs and think that looks it's not really what we're looking for. Yeah. But it's about the emotion about walking inside and making sure that property hits that, that need for you as well. But it's a natural thing. That first impression will make a massive influence whether you even step through the door. I've sold thousands of houses, but the amount of times I've gone off and done a viewing and I've taken another set of keys for another property that I know is in the area, or I've spoken to a homeowner to say, look, I've got viewings in the area between these times. If you're out, just pop out for the day or for a couple of hours. And if I can pull a viewing in for you, I'll see what I can do. And I've been on viewings and I've said, look, do you trust me in regard to I know what you're looking for, because I know your story, I know your journey. I've got a feel for what you're looking for. Just come in the car with me and let's go and have a look at a property. and you've got them inside it and they go, my God, I'd have never thought about viewing this. And they've walked in and they've bought it.
Yeah.
That's the difference between a good estate agent who sells, doesn't just order take, I want to view this house, does a viewing, does the feedback, books a viewing in, gets the feedback, etc. It's understanding what they're looking for. And I think, if I'm being honest with you, that's what's really lacking in estate agency nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think sometimes people rely so much on Rightmove, on the market, whatever it is, to almost sell those houses. And like we spoke the other week, you know, in some ways, yes, they can sell the houses, but it's the agents that's going to get them pushed through. And it's about how we get the most out of your home. And doing these tips, you don't need to spend a fortune. We'll get the most out of your homes and give you more opportunity for more viewers to come through. And, you know, sometimes it is just taking that step back and saying, this is my home. But actually, if I was looking to buy it or I'm looking to sell it, what areas am I looking at and what can I do within my budget and my time frame? Because people are busy people. They haven't got time to paint walls and things. What can I do to get the best out of it in the time and the money that I've got? And that really does go a long way. And like, I'm pretty sure it's Nate who's told us about the cat litter tray, because I'm sure I've heard that story from him before, that he won't ever buy that home. And it might have been the perfect home for him. But all he remembers is that cat litter tray in every room. And that's just put him off the house. But actually, had we have taken those out of the rooms, that may be a very different story, because I know that's in the area he wants to buy. It's in the budget he wants to buy. But all he's got in his head is cat litter trays. So that's just key and perfect example of why it's so important.
And the final thing to sum up here is, if you want to get the best initial property offer on your property, follow the 5 things that we've talked about today. Because if you don't, but somebody still wants that property because it's the right location and the right price, I promise you that their initial offer will come in lower, because they'll try and justify the offer, because they're going to have to do all the 5 things that we've spoken about tonight that you haven't done. Okay. So when you do those things and you follow the process and you follow the advice what agents are giving to you, you tend to find initially the first offer that comes in is much better. And ultimately, you tend to find that you achieve much, much closer to your asking price by following those tips.
Absolutely.
Excellent. So I think we've covered as much as we possibly can in the half an hour that we've had today. However, this is quite an emotive subject, as we've said, and it's very personal advice for each person that's watching today. So again, as I mentioned at the beginning, if I can give anybody any advice here, again, reach out to me on my socials. My mobile number, which I said I'd quote out, is 07359 279 705. Feel free to reach out to me on that number, as I say, on my socials. Helen, again, if I can give you any advice after you've had even your valuations tomorrow, again, under no obligation at all, more than happy to just have a conversation with you. Please reach out. Be very, very happy to help you, as I am with anybody. And also, when you get to that point with your finances, you know to go on to then as well, don't you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm here and waiting.
Excellent. Thanks everybody again for your involvement. Again, it's a really important one for you to hit the likes for us. But say anything else we can help you with, please come back and let us know. Thanks for watching as always. And what else we got on here? Yeah, Joy's put a message in there. Oh, nice to hear from you, Joy. Thanks for the advice, Mike and Jenny. Let's just get that one in and show that one as well. Loads of participation today. So I think we've obviously hit the right topic at the right time, Jenny. And again, we really appreciate everybody watching for the full 33 minutes tonight. I know we all, initially sort of said we're going to try and keep this down to sort of 20 minutes, half an hour. But the fact that everybody's watched all the way through, again, just shows to me again that lots and lots of helpful information in there as well.
Amazing.
Excellent. We will see you all again, same time, same place next week. Thanks again for watching. Roll the ending credits for us then, Jenny, and we'll see you all again next week.